In this tutorial, we're going to talk about scheduling shows. Now, this really only applies if you're a broadcaster. If you are playing more than one show a day, or if you're just going to play shows on a regular schedule, you'll want to use scheduling shows. It'll make it a lot easier. One thing I'd like you to remember is that there are over 1,000 shows in this library. Each one of those shows is 48 minutes long, approximately, within a minute or so. And if you're a commercial broadcast station, you'll be wanting to run spots. If you're a non-commercial station, you may still want to, add some PSAs. But if you didn't want to add any, then you just play the 48 minutes and then you have to fill. But when you have this many shows to choose from, it's nice to be able to schedule them in advance and to make sure that you don't inadvertently pick a show that you broadcast sometime in the past, but not so close to where we are now in terms of the date. So that's what the show scheduling capability in this system can do for you. So, like I said, if you're a radio station or a broadcaster and you're going to be scheduling shows for broadcast, this is definitely a tutorial for you. Now, if you're not and you're just using this database in order to find and listen to shows, getting started will get you going. And if you haven't already watched the advanced search tutorial, you may want to watch that before we get into scheduling shows. Okay, so let's get going here. Now we're in the help screen as we've been in previous tutorials to start. I'm going to click on the shows tab up here, and this will get us into where we want to go. And then we've already looked at the smart search and the show playlist where advanced searches can be done. But now let's look at the availability list. Maybe before we do that, I want to show you something. You see down here on the bottom where it says available for broadcast? We've talked about this a little bit in other tutorials, but this is a good time to bring it up again. If you let me just demonstrate something here. I'm going to go into the advanced search feature here. I'm going to click on advanced search, and I'm going to say show me everything that is not available for broadcast. And then I'll click on do find. So it'll find anything that's marked as no when the question is this available for broadcast? So after clicking the button, you can see here that we've got a lot of shows, a whole bunch of them really, that apparently are not available for broadcast. Now I don't see any scheduled air dates over here, so why would these not be available? Well, when Fred made some of these shows, he would record them to a reel-to-reel tape in the old days. And tape has a bad habit of sometimes wearing out or stretching or breaking. And the shows may have some damage to the actual recording. They're still good shows, but there may just be a section where there's a problem, and we wanted to make sure that the radio stations didn't just play those, but we thought that they should be made available just in case they want to use them. Or if you're not a broadcaster and you're just listening to the shows, you may not care that there's a little flaw in the show. As long as you get to hear most of it and it's a good show, why not? This is different from when a show is scheduled, and there's another way of taking a show out of availability, and we'll get to that in a moment. But before we did, I just wanted you to know that there are, we did that search, and there are 39. You see right here where it says 1 of 39 found records. Okay, so that means that there are 39 shows out of our total collection that we don't recommend that you use them for broadcast. And so those are typically just kept out of the mix when it comes to anything to do with the availability list. Now, in addition to that, when you assign a show to be played and you give it a play date, the system can be set up right here along the top so that once the show has been broadcast, it would not become available to select for broadcast again until after this number of days, in this case it's 750 days, had actually elapsed. So this is 750 days from the actual broadcast date, not 750 days from the day that you assign the broadcast date, but from the day it's actually meant to broadcast. And that will keep the show out of sight, basically, until it's gone past that 750 days since the last time it was aired, and then it would become available to you again. So this is a way of kind of protecting you, and a lot of stations wanted that feature, and we gave it to them. Now you can change that number to any number you want. I'd like you to notice over here, I'm going to come back to this in just a moment, but I just want to move to this yellow box you're seeing here. Now this will change color depending on what you have selected. It's a drop down, so when you click on it, you can choose to have displayed down below here in this section here all the shows in the library, and it tells you here there would be 1,006 of those. Or you can choose shows that are currently available. Now, what this tells you here is that there are 967 shows that are currently available. That 967, by the way, when we did this search over here, we found 39 records that we felt shouldn't be used for broadcast. So if you subtract 39 from all the shows that we've got available from 1,006, you're going to end up with 967. Now as soon as we start adding play dates into here, this number will actually decrement, again based upon the number of days that had elapsed since any shows that had previously been assigned to play on a certain date had played, and that 750-day period had finally elapsed. So shows that are available will be any show that has come back into the availability based on its original play date, as well as it leaves out the shows that we had marked as not recommended for broadcast. So this number will only show 967 as long as we haven't set any play dates in here that have not yet come back in for reuse. So I wanted you to understand that, and then the drop down has one more choice. This would be shows that are not currently available. Now currently there's nothing here at all. So this doesn't include the shows that we had specifically said, no, we don't want to use that show for broadcast ever. Those are excluded. So the only ones that are not currently available right now are none, because we haven't assigned any dates to them yet. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go to shows that are currently available. This is normally where you would start whenever you want to assign a show a play date. You'll notice underneath here that we have a list, not unlike the ones that we've seen when we do a custom search, an advanced search, or when we click on the overview button. And we haven't really talked about that, but we'll get into that. So let's go ahead and assign some of these shows, but just keep in mind that this is pretty much formatted the way you're used to. There are a couple of extra columns over here. There's one for the sequence. This is like the order of shows. If you have more than one show scheduled on, let's say, next Tuesday, maybe you've got 2 or 3 shows that are going to play back to back, you can set up a sequence so that when the person that's actually pulling the show for use pulls the shows, they'll know which order to play them in on that day. All right, now there's more than one way to assign a show here, but we're gonna do it here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose this Alvino Ray show here. I'm just picking one randomly, and I'm clicking there. That brings up a little calendar, and from the calendar I can select a play date. So I'll just type that in here. Just chose the 16th. Now the reason that that's not showing up is because as soon as we selected that, it decremented this number from 967 to 966, and that one is now in the list shows that are not currently available. Why is it not available? Because it's already been scheduled for broadcast. And not only that, we haven't even reached that broadcast date. But once it's broadcast, it's going to have to, another 750 days will have to go by before that show will show up again in the shows that are currently available. Let's do another one here. We'll do this Duke Ellington one here. Again, I'll put that on the 9th. We can come back here and see now that both of them have been entered. Well, that's nice, but what about the sequence number? What about some of the features down here like printing? Okay, we'll get to those. For now, I'm going to do is I want to show you this little section right here. Now, this allows you to choose a date that you want to know more about. If I click up here, again, I get a little calendar. And since we assigned some shows to October 9th, I'm going to choose October 9th. As soon as I do, we can see those two shows appearing in here. And that gives us a couple of extra options. For one, you can hover over the name and it will give you the playlist. Playlist might be handy when you want to make sure that the show you picked has some content that you think would fit. And then down here, here's another one. And again, we can look at the playlist. We've also got this little yellow box right here and here. And what you can do with that is you can specify the order that you want the shows to play. So here we've got Alvino Ray. Let's make Alvino Ray number 1. So I just clicked in the box and I typed a 1. And I'll click in this box and I'll type a 2. And we can just click up in this gray area. As soon as we do, these will change their sort order in the list here. So with 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom, as soon as I click this gray area, which is just kind of a blank spot, we'll see that the sorting changes here, but it doesn't really matter. These updated right away. Now we'll go add some more shows here. So let's go back to shows that are currently available. And let's pick a visit to the Big Apple. And we'll put that on the 16th, a week away. And the Entertainers. I'm just kind of choosing these randomly. And if we go to shows that are not currently available, now you see that we've got all 4 of those shows. You should also notice that this list is sorting in reverse date. So the ones that are going to be playing last will show up at the list first. And so you'll be able to see these that way. And you can also look at these even if you're in the all shows list. And what that does is it shows anything that was scheduled up on top. And then underneath that it shows all the other shows. So that shows you the whole library, but it does show you the play dates there. So let's change this now to October 16th. And these are the 2 shows that we picked for that day. And we can say, let's see, I'd like this one to be the first show, and I'd like this one to be the second. And so now you can see that there as well. So that's what this does for you. And it has some other features down at the bottom here, and this is where it really gets interesting. And we're going to talk more about printing here in just a moment. I want to pick a few more shows. I can pick them from the all shows list, so I can click in here. I can choose restore and then try it again here. Sometimes you'll get that little message, and if it is giving you an error, you can try clicking on restore. That usually will fix that problem. I'll look into that more later. So let's jump ahead now to the 23rd. And we'll pick another one for the 23rd. And we can look here on the 23rd and we can see that we've got that in there. And we'll give this a number 1, give this a number 2. Okay. All right, now we've got all shows selected up here. If I were to come down and choose Print List, I could have this give me a printout either by show number or by show title or sorted by date. Let's do it by date. So these are the shows that are currently available by date. And I'm going to preview these briefly. And what you're going to notice here is that even though we told it to sort by date, it actually displayed all the available shows that we have. We got 30 pages here, and I just wanted you to see this because this can be a little hard to understand sometimes. Give me a moment here. Let me just do something here. Okay. We would see the play dates if they were on any of these layouts here, and we'll eventually get down to those here somewhere. Okay, so here's some down here with the play dates at the very end. Well, this is probably not what you had in mind. So the print list capability works in conjunction with the drop down up here. So when this is set to all shows and you print a list, it'll print a list of all your shows. If you wanted a list of all the shows that are currently available, you could choose that. And then when you go print list, it would print all 961 shows that are currently available. And here, when you choose shows that are not currently available, you got 6. I can print that list. And here you'll see now that it gave us a shorter list. So on October 9th, and then the 16th, and then the 23rd, we've got this one first and this one second, this one first on the 16th and then this one second, and this one first on the 23rd and then that one second. It can be a handy printout. Now this is just letting you know press return or enter to print or to cancel. So I'm going to hit the enter key on my keyboard and I can print it or I can hit the cancel key at this point and that would take me back. Now, some of the other print capabilities that we have in here is we can just print any given day that was selected. So if you have October 23rd selected here in the purple drop-down, and you print that day, I'll just view this in the PDF preview. This is what you would get. It would show the day that you selected, and we had selected October 23rd over here. And then the shows would be listed in order that they should be pulled and played, just like that. You could give that to your board operator, and they can go pull the shows in advance and be ready. You could also print the week down here. Now the week is specific to this purple drop down up here. So if I say let's print the week with October 23rd, which was the last show that we had picked, that would be the latest, the last one to play on a date, we only see it displayed up here. It looks just like when we told it to print the day. But if I go back to October the 9th, and you can see that we've got those shows there. We've got a list here to help us understand that. And I told it to print the week. What it's going to do instead is it's going to show 7 days worth of shows beginning with October the 9th, which is what we had selected there. So a 7-day period, Tuesday, October 9th to Tuesday, October 16th. This is all the shows that have to be pulled in that week. So that's pretty handy. If I came up here and if I change this to October the 16th, well, we've got something scheduled for October 16th and we have something scheduled for October 23rd. So again, a 7-day period beginning with this date. And we can see October 16th and the 23rd. So that's what that is. And you can use these printouts to help you kind of stay ahead of the curve or to track things. Now, one more print feature that we added to this is this button down here, Print Current Date or Date Sheet. Now, what this is for is some people might not want to use this Search SwingThing database application at all. They might be old school and they would like to just keep a tally on a clipboard and just write things down. We gave you that capability here. You can just click here. Now this doesn't care about the dates or anything else showing up here. I can click here, and what it's going to do is it's going to list all the shows in show number order. So as you can see, we have a very long list, and this is the entire library of shows. Now this will not include shows that were marked as not recommended for broadcast that we talked about before. Those shows will be left out of the list, but all the others would be in here. And so you'll notice that these were some of the shows that we picked earlier. We gave it an air date, and so it added those in. That way you can still keep track of any shows that may have been in the database that had been aired on some previous date, just to make sure that if you're going to reschedule it, that you'll know when that show was last aired. Now it's not as convenient, of course, as having this, calculate that out for you with this 750-day, keep it at bay until we're ready to rerun the show feature. But at least here you can look at it and you can do it manually, and you can put down an air date. And another air date and another air date. So you could actually plan future broadcast dates if you want. And you can do that for 1, 2, 3, 4. You do that for up to 5 settings. So, basically probably 5 years worth, at least. And you just hit this print button up here to print it out. I'll give you a preview of that as well. And there it is, ready to print out all these pages for you. Oh, by the way, if you're on a Mac and you're using this Preview as PDF feature, you can also click this up here and you can choose to have some thumbnails displayed so you can see all the different pages. Now they're all pretty much identical, right? I mean, you can't really tell them apart, but you might be able to spot if one of them has a date in one of these columns. Like if we scroll down here near the end, let's see, well, this top one's got some dates right there, and you can see those dates in there. You can't read them, but you can see there are some there. So anyway, if you need that, that's there for you as well. And that's the way that we use the show scheduling feature. Now, I did mention the overview button a moment ago, so let me just show you what that is. The overview button depends upon which one of these tabs you're on. So if we were to click the overview when we're looking at the availability list tab, then you'll see those 4 shows that were found there. If I go to the show playlist here, you can see that currently it's showing 1 of 1,006 found records. We could do a find and reduce that number, but if we just click up here on overview, overview is now a very long scrolling list, and it shows you everything there. And whenever you're looking at one of these long lists like that, if I go back into the overview, you can just click on any one row you want. Like I'll click on this Tony Pastor row, and it'll take you right over to that show. And then that way you can look at that. Now if you're in Smart Search and you do a search over here, let's do a search for Artie Shaw. I'll just tell it to do that search. And so it found a whole bunch of titles here that were 152 records. And if we click on the overview, all 152 of those will show up here. And you'll notice that this is a little different. It also shows the scheduled air date. It's colored slightly differently, but it's basically the same layout. It gives you, all these different fields, and you can sort on these fields. So click on J, and that would put all the jazz shows on top. Click it again and put all the jazz shows down at the bottom. And we looked at this before in the advanced search capability. So anyway, that's how you use that. And, in most cases, as I had mentioned, using the availability list is only really mostly useful anyway for those of you who are doing broadcasts and need to schedule ahead. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, if you've added something in here and you want to remove it, I'm going to go back first of all. I don't have to do this, but I'll go back to all shows. And here we're looking at this show here, which is show number 321, Visit to the Big Apple right there. I want you to just kind of put your attention on that one because it's going to disappear. As soon as I click on this little orange button, and as soon as I do, it's going to delete that date, that play date from that show, just like that. And now that show is once again available. So I could go through and I could clean these all up like that. Now I could also do it another way. I can just click on one of the shows in the list that has a date. And this is that little error message that I told you about earlier. It's as soon as I clicked on it, what it is responding to basically is when you clicked on a date here, it's saying, well, there's already a date set. Let's see if that played and if 750 days have gone by since it played. And if not, then it's not going to let you, enter a new date in there because it's only been, it's got a minus 15 days since the show was last aired. That means it's still got 15 days to go before it will finally get to that air date, right? To that October 23rd air date. So in 15 days it'll be October 23rd, and then it will still have to go another 750 days. Now, that's why it's saying 765, because you have 765 days to go, 15 plus 750, before that show will be available again. Well, that's a good thing. It's letting you know. But if you decide, oh, hell with it, I'm just going to go with it anyway, I want to put this show back on the list even though it did air on another date, or I want to just change the date, all you have to do is click Restore. And when you do that, you'll notice that that date that was there just disappeared. And now when I click in there, I can come in here and I can pick another play date. So if I wanted to, I could make it Tuesday, October 30th, and there it is. And again, if I want to click up there and just delete that, I can just do it that way. We go now to October 23rd, which is where that show was. You'll see now we've only got one show in that list because we deleted the other one. So two ways to delete them, right? One way, just click that red button over here, or if you want to change or delete a play date, just click in there and hit Restore, and that will do the same thing. So that's how you do that. And now, of course, when we come in here and we look for shows that are not currently available, we should see that there's nothing in the list at all because we've deleted all the shows that we had planned on airing. So that's how that works. If you want to change this 750 number to something else, you can do that. Just make sure after you've changed it, change it to 350 here, just click Apply, and that'll update everything in the system so that you'll be able to get the correct information when you're looking for shows that are available or not available. And that's basically how you would use the advanced feature to schedule shows.